So I've just talked about the attempt by the North to break away. Now, let's go back a bit. Who made the first attempt, the first serious attempt to break away from Nigeria? And perhaps we will not cast our minds back to what is going on in the Niger Delta at the moment. Because you have a lot of militants with good guns in the Niger Delta. In the next 10 years, what do you think will come out from the Niger Delta if Nigeria is not restructured? Let's talk about one man, Isaac Adaka Boro. Major Isaac Adaka Boro was an Ijaw nationalist who died in the line of duty fighting for Nigeria against Biafra. In the early years of Nigeria's independence from Britain, he was in the forefront of the campaign for minority rights. He formed the armed militia, Niger Delta Volunteer Force, to demand for a larger share of proceeds of oil wealth for his people. You can see the agitation for resource control has been there. On the 23rd of February 1966, Isaac Adaka Boro and his guys declared the Niger Delta Republic. After a 12-day war with the federal government of Nigeria, the militia was defeated and its members arrested for treason. You know, Juku was among those who brought down Isaac Adaka Boro's rebellion. Yes. He was among those who brought down that rebellion as a military officer. So at the outbreak of the Nigerian Civil War in May 1967, Isaac Adaka Boro and his comrades, who were in prison at the time, were pardoned by the federal government and they were enlisted to fight the war on the Nigerian side. He was killed on the 9th of May 1968 near Okrika, Rivers State. Born on the 10th of September 1938 in Oloibiri, remember Oloibiri? The place where oil was first discovered in Nigeria. So that was where Isaac Adaka Boro was born. Oloibiri, where oil was first discovered in Nigeria. So to carry out his campaign, Boro left University of Nigeria Nsukka, where he was the student union president, to pursue his 12-day revolution. His revolt was the first armed uprising against independent Nigeria. In this interview, Dr. Yemi Farumbi talks of the Adaka Boro he met at the University of Nigeria Nsukka. Farumbi is Nigeria's former ambassador to the Philippines. He is a respected broadcaster. A country that don't learn from history will not understand why Isaac Adaka Boro took up arms against the state. He died in 1968. Adaka Boro was a man you saw in the University of Nigeria Nsukka.
Yes.
What did you see in him as a student union leader?
First and foremost, in those days, at the University of Nigeria, the man who easily could emerge as a president would be an Igbo man. But here was a Niger Delta person, whom we all unanimously elected, because he had revolutionary concepts about governance, even at student union level. He had revolutionary concepts about relationship between the university management and the student. If you remember then, as at that time, the University of Nigeria was being managed by Michigan State University. And it appeared that they just came and wanted to translate what they had in Michigan to University of Nigeria. And in many dialogue, he drew attention to this. You have to domesticate whatever you are bringing. You have to look at the reality of the Nigerian situation. I found him an eloquent speaker. I found him a very intelligent person. I found him a left-of-the-center politician who subscribed, as at that time, like many of us, to the Marxist doctrine. But at the same time, he felt bad about his people because he left the university. He didn't finish. He left the university because he couldn't stand the fact that there was oil spillage in his area.
And he came from the community, Oloibiri, where oil was discovered.
Oil was first discovered in 1958.
So when he formed the Ijaw Volunteer Force, was it clear at the time that a time bomb had exploded in the Niger Delta?
You see, it had, but we didn't see it because we refused to see it. And because at that time, oil was not too significant in our revenue calculation. It became significant at about 1970, 71, and so on. When oil came in 1958, it was not important. In fact, if it was important, I'm sure the British wouldn't have left. They would still be here. They would have shown better interest in staying longer, you know. But we didn't listen to what he was saying. We didn't even understand what he was saying. Somebody ought to have asked, why will a university student abandon his education to go and fight when he was in train?
And in February 1966, he declared the Niger Delta Republic.
That was the time to have started an exercise that would probably have resolved this matter. We would have found out what really is the issue. Like I said earlier, Nigeria is not the only country producing crude oil from Delta. But Nigeria is the only country producing crude oil from an area and abandoning that area. How does a hen lay eggs for you and you refuse to give it maize?
On a good day, should we have studied the Adaka Boro instinct at the time?
I believe so.
He wrote a book, The 12-Day Revolution.
Yes. I believe, in fact, when he opted to support Nigeria against the Biafran there, we ought to have had a debriefing session with him. What motivated you? Because historically, he's the first person to have attempted secession in Nigeria. We ought to have found out from him, what was your motivation? Why did you do this? How do you think that these problems can be solved? And we will have taken off from there. You know, we've had too many lost opportunities in this country. I mean, when I think I feel like crying. I mean, after the Civil War, we lost also an opportunity. There was an IMT in Enugu that was producing bombs, that was doing Ogunike and things like that. What did you do with it?
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Yes, Yemi Farum be telling us about Isaac Adaka Boro. You can see the issues that made Nigeria dysfunctional, leading to Aburi Accord.